Welcome to Wiki Bros. I'm Justin,
This is Kyle.
and this is the show with a couple of guys exploring various Wikipedia articles. So, let me ask you, Kyle, do you believe in aliens?
I believe in alien life. I don't believe in little green men probing us.
So,
Mostly you.
No, there's no little green men probing me.
No.
But I mean,
I'm glad. I'm happy for you.
let's. So, you believe in UFOs?
No.
No. So there's just aliens, but they don't have any way of flying.
With the billions of planets, billions, around all the stars that we know exist, there's like a slim to none chance that there isn't some type of alien life. Now, whether or not it's intelligent or not, completely different story.
So there's aliens. They just can't fly.
Not UFOs, but I mean, what if they're birds?
Well, I'm just saying,
I'm flying aliens.
if there is alien life and we're in an airplane and they see that, they're going to think it's a UFO, right?
It's a good point. Good point.
Of course, it's in our own planet.
I mean, the part that makes it a UFO is the unidentified.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they can't identify it. They're not intelligent, remember?
but we're not on their planet.
All right. Anyway, today we're diving into Heaven's Gate. So this starts off with Marshall Applewhite. He began his foray into biblical prophecy in the early 1970s after being fired from the University of St. Thomas in Houston, Texas.
What do you get fired for?
Well, it was an alleged relationship with one of his male students.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah. But then he switches to the other side and he met Bonnie Nettles. She was a 44-year-old married nurse with an interest in biblical prophecy.
Hey, he swings both ways then.
That's right. So the circumstances of their meeting are disputed. According to Applewhite's writing, the two met in a hospital where she worked while he was visiting a sick friend there. It's been rumored that it was a psychiatric hospital,
That makes sense.
but Nettles was substituting for another nurse working with premature babies in the nursery.
Wait. So they just said she was visiting a friend, or did they say he was visiting a friend?
He was visiting a friend in the hospital, right?
Okay.
And she's at the same hospital. Possibly working with premature babies, possibly...
But it's a mental hospital?
I don't know.
They're the crazy
That's-
babies? I'm
it
kind of
could-
confused.
Could be. I'm not positive. But Applewhite later recalled that he felt as though he had known Nettles for a long time and concluded that they had met in a past life. She told him
It's
their
an
meeting
excellent
had,
pickup line.
you know, I mean, what's his other option?
I mean, hi?
No.
No, I mean, you're in a mental hospital. You gotta go big anyway.
It probably started out that way. He just talking to her later. He's like, "Yeah, we met. I feel like I've known you forever." People say that all the time.
In a former
right?
life.
Well, he's just going one step further.
Oh.
But she told him their meeting had been foretold to her by extraterrestrials, persuading him that he had a divine assignment. So
Pickup line worked really, really
yeah,
well.
yeah, I mean, when you're both on the same playing field, it's great.
I don't think they're in the same galaxy.
So, Applewhite and Nettles pondered the life of St. Francis of Assisi and kept a King James Bible with them and studied several passages from the New Testament, focusing on teachings about Christology, asceticism, and eschatology.
Excellent pronunciation.
Thank you. By June 19th, Applewhite and Nettles' belief had solidified into a basic outline. They concluded that they had been chosen to fulfill biblical prophecies and that they had been given higher level minds than other people.
What qualifies them as being higher level?
Oh, you'll see.
Are they Einstein?
No, you'll see. So, they wrote a pamphlet that described Jesus' reincarnation as a Texan, a thinly veiled reference to Applewhite.
So Jesus is a Texan
New Jesus is Texan.
and an alien?
Yes. OG Texas, OG Jesus is not a Texan.
I mean, clearly.
No.
But new Jesus is.
New Jesus is Texan.
Alien Texas Jesus.
Yep.
Okay.
Furthermore, they concluded that they were the two witnesses described in the book of Revelation and occasionally visited churches or other spiritual groups to speak of their identities, often referring to themselves as the two or the UFO two.
That must have went over really poorly.
I don't think it went as well as they had hoped, But
I mean, when you're crazy, you think everything's going to go over well.
yeah, I mean, it worked a little bit, right? They got some followers out of this. Says they believed they would be killed and then restored to life, and in view of others, transported onto a spaceship. This event, which they referred to as the demonstration.
Do you have a sound effect for that? I feel like I need a sound effect.
Sorry, how about this?
The demonstration.
Interesting alien
Yep.
accent there.
So it was to prove their claims, right? That they're, are higher level minds.
Okay.
But to their dismay, these ideas were poorly received by existing religious communities.
They could just say sane people.
Yeah. But it says the two would gain their first follower, Sharon Morgan, in May of 1974 as she abandoned her children to join them.
Good life choices, Sharon.
Yep. Eventually, though, she, went back and she joined her children again and abandoned Applewhite and Nettles. It says Applewhite and Nettles resolved to contact extraterrestrials and they sought like-minded followers. They published advertisements for meetings where they recruited disciples whom they called the crew. At the events, they purported to represent beings from another planet, the next level. That's their planet name, apparently.
The planet's called the next level?
The next level.
Huh.
Yep.
You should use the voice scan.
And
I know we discussed this off air, but they'd also made a lot of videos on VHS at the time. Obviously, they were mailing out to people.
yeah, they made quite a few VHS tapes trying to recruit people. It was a little bit pre-internet, right? So they had to go that path.
We've got a clip we can show them.
Yeah, and in this guy talks and talks and talks and talks forever. If you were so inclined to join their group, having watched this initiation tape, you are undoubtedly crazy because this guy is, he's out there. But anyway, here's a little clip.
T and O were brought into this environment in the early 70s. A spacecraft brought us in. Remember, it's a physical world. Spacecraft brought us in, and actually we came in first and made deposits, our little information deposits, in our vehicles when they were infants. So that means we had to come in the 20s and 30s, and then we had to come in and make deposits in the vehicles of all the classroom that's sitting here in front of me. Several dozen individuals sitting here in front of me. Their vehicles had to have little deposits made in them at the various times that those vehicles were infants. And now it's difficult to accept the information that I'm telling you. If you knew how to interpret some of the religious documents that have been left for you, you would interpret them exactly as I am telling you.
So, that's like a minute of this rant that lasts for hours.
And there's multiple videos as well, right? There's more than just one.
Yeah, and I've got a link to them. If you go to wikibros.com, scroll down to where you see Heaven's Gate at, click on that. There's links to some of these other videos. If you want to go down that path.
If you guys are really into the videos, I believe their website, like the actual Heaven's Gate website, is still active. So
right,
you could go join.
And you have to look that up. I think it's tila.org.
Now we can put that at the bottom link too.
So anyway, that's fun. But anyway, it says they were seeking participants for their experiment. And they stated who agreed to take part in the experiment would be brought to a higher evolutionary level, just like them, right? Or maybe a step below them, but higher than human. So in April of 1975, during a meeting with a metaphysical group of 80 people, they shared their simultaneous revelation that they had been told they were the two witnesses written into the Bible story of the end time. While accounts of the meeting differ, all describe it as momentous, and they agree that Applewhite and Nettles presented themselves as charismatic leaders with an important spiritual message.
As most cult leaders do.
Yeah. But, out of the group of 80 people, right, 23 to 27, somewhere in that range, 23 to 27 individuals decided to join the group.
That's a pretty impressive retention rate.
Yeah.
I'm giving you're preaching to a group of crazy people that responded to your 6-hour video.
Right. They had other ways of recruiting too. They might not have all came from the video. I can't see that 80 people.
I mean,
came
not
after
everybody had a
watching that video.
VHS,
That's a good point.
system back
That's
in the
a good
day.
point.
What, was this at the library?
They had they had pamphlets and stuff too. They might have just been seeking out, and either way, you got basically what 25-30% of the people who came to watch this.
Which were, most of these people had to have been alien believers
Sure.
already, or
Crazy.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, all of them are crazy, but no offense to any alien believers out there.
Like yourself, you're the one who said at the beginning.
I said I don't believe in UFOs.
All right.
UFOs.
But you believe in aliens.
Yes.
You believe in.
I
What
believe
is it,
in
Marvin the Martian?
statistics. I believe in statistics.
All right. That's fair. So, it says later in September of 1975, Applewhite and Nettles preached at a motel hall in Oregon. After selling all worldly possessions and saying farewell to loved ones, around 20 people vanished from the hotel and from public eye and joined the group.
Now, they actually were able to get some recognition for this due to the amount of people that disappeared, didn't they?
Right. Yeah. In fact, it says later that year on CBS Evening News, Walter Cronkite reported on the disappearances.
So I feel like they did this intentionally, trying to get some.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. I'm thinking maybe that it's just like they were, they're just abandoning their old life.
Right.
So, I mean, their family's like, hey, they disappeared, right? But reality is that they weren't trying to disappear, I don't think. I think they were just trying to join the movement and do,
Right. Which
So-
they changed all their belief system too, right?
Right. So this says Walter Cronkite's report, he says a score of persons have disappeared. It is a mystery whether they've been taken on a so-called trip to eternity or simply been taken. But reality, I don't think that they were actually taken by, this group. I think they just joined them and they disappeared from their family life.
Right.
Right? It says in reality, Applewhite and Nettles had arranged for the group to go underground. From that point, Doe and T, as the two now call themselves, led the nearly 100-member crew across the country, sleeping in tents and sleeping bags and begging in the streets. Evading detection by authorities and media enabled the group to focus on Doe and T's doctrine of helping members of the crew achieve a higher evolutionary level, above human, which they claim to have already reached. Says Applewhite's writing suggests he believed himself to be Jesus' successor and the present representative of Christ on earth, right? Because, what is it? They were implanting. They were implanting the little light, What a fucking weirdo. So Doe and T taught during the religious movement's early beginnings that Doe's bodily vehicle was inhabited by the same alien spirit which belonged to Jesus.
So now they're saying OG Jesus was an alien.
Yes, OG Jesus. Well, okay. So
technically.
no, actually, what they're saying OG Jesus was just a man, right? Mm-hmm. And then the aliens came and implanted.
I can't believe I
Right?
just did a little
All right.
signal with
So
you.
implanted.
See, your cult tactics are already working on
Right,
me.
I know. They implanted into Jesus, and now that same alien spirit is implanting into Applewhite, right? So, like, Doe is Applewhite, right? T is Nettles, okay?
Now, she believed that she was something as well, right?
She was God the Father.
Oh, okay. That's no small feat. You're actually God.
Yes.
It's impressive.
I mean, it is what it is.
Just woke up one day and I'm God.
When she got implanted.
Oh, over time. I would expect that, it would take a long time to get implanted.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean,
No.
you look at that.
Aliens implant in seconds.
This guy looks like he's 70 and he just realized he's Jesus.
No, well, okay, so what happened with him, though? He was implanted when he was an infant,
Oh,
and then he was implanted again in the 70s.
right. Multiple occasions throughout his life, correct?
Right.
That's what he's claiming in the
I
video.
believe it's twice.
And he'll go into this in detail in the video
yeah,
better.
they come in early, Then they come back again when you're ready.
Oh.
So, says the crew used numerous methods of recruitment as they toured the U.S. in destitution, proclaiming the gospel of higher level metamorphosis, the deceit of humans by false god spirits, envelopment with sunlight for meditative healing, and the divinity of the UFO too. In April 1976, the group stopped recruiting, became reclusive, and instituted a rigid set of behavioral guidelines, including banning sexual activity and the use of drugs.
Except for Doe.
No,
He couldn't either?
no, they all did it.
Did he?
Normally, I think normal cult activity sees the leader as the guy who is still,
I mean, that was basically the Waco situation.
Right.
He thought claimed he was Jesus too, and then kept sleeping with all the
yeah,
women.
I think it happens a lot with a lot of these cults. The leader just has sex with everyone, right? And then the people below him are either usually only allowed to have sex with one person, which possibly two, right? Sometimes you get your wife that you came into the cult with, you can have sex with her, and you will also be assigned another person, usually by the leader, who's going to give you a young girl, right? Or nobody gets to have sex except for the leader. But in this case, even the leader, knew Jesus is not.
I mean, at this point, Viagra wasn't a thing, so I don't think it's probably on his radar.
Yeah, I mean,
he looks like a dirty old man. I mean, let's be honest.
well, he is a dirty old man.
Alien Jesus.
Alien Jesus is dirty.
Not real Jesus.
Right. So it says Applewhite and Nettles also solidified that they represented the sole temporal and religious authority of the group. So these are the only leaders they will have because it's Jesus and God, right?
Right.
Many researchers note that not all of Applewhite's crew were hippies recruited from alternative religious backgrounds.
So they picked up a bunch of high hippies with their
I mean, absolutely.
alien rhetoric.
That's where most of them are. But it says, one such recruit early on was John Craig, a respected Republican and ranch owner who came close to winning the 1970 Colorado House of Representatives race. He joined the group in 1975.
I mean, I've got nothing against Republicans, but thank God that this man didn't make it into the office.
Yeah, well, he was probably halfway sane before that. He probably lost it after it. He
Lost the election.
Yeah, he probably spent all of his money, on this leading up to the election, and lost. So then he lost it all. And let's be honest. I mean, he's no longer making his entrance into politics, so he's not going to be set for life like most of our politicians are.
Okay, to make the news somehow.
All right. Says, as recruit numbers grew in the pre-internet days, the clan of UFO followers all seemed to have in common a need for communal belonging in an alternative path to higher existence.
I mean, that's just the basic need in cults, it seems to be. They always prey on people's lack of family life or,
Right. It says, identifying themselves using the business name Higher Source and using their website to recruit followers beginning in the early 90s, rumors began spreading throughout the group in the following years that the upcoming comet Hale-Bopp housed the secret to their ultimate salvation and ascent into the kingdom of heaven. So this is when they decided that this is how they're leaving Earth, right? There's a spaceship following Hale-Bopp.
And that's something to clarify on too. Like, they didn't think the comet was the spaceship.
Right. They thought they were just following Hale-Bopp was a spaceship.
Yeah.
Right.
And apparently,
The next level.
Couldn't take the time to come down and pick them up themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of rude.
October.
Gas must have been as expensive then.
I don't think so. No. 1996? No way. 1996, we were paying like $1.
That's a good point.
I mean, $1.14 maybe.
Diesel? They use diesel?
They got rocket fuel, man.
That's a good point. How much? Maybe we need to check the price of rocket fuel at the time.
Look into that.
Okay.
It says, in October 1996, the group began renting a large home, which they called the monastery. a 9,200 square foot mansion located in Rancho Santa Fe, California.
Where'd they get the money?
Well, okay,
None of them were working.
but I'm sure they got donations, right, from people as they're sleeping in their tents, having their big orgies, right?
Well,
This is
some of these people could have sold their like, sold everything they had to go travel with them.
they could have, and
Houses, cars.
and while they're not allowed to have sex now, at first they were, they were having gangbangs in the street. They had to have been, and
I really hope he was leading by example.
people
and
walking
just-
by,
and just this
they're
old man.
like, hey, I mean, this is pre-internet, man. They're like free porn, right? And then they said, oh, you know what? I feel bad watching this for free.
There's no amount of money that I would pay to
Throw-
watch that man have sex with anybody.
So, and how nasty would that be? These people haven't had showers.
Well, because they've been living in. Well, no, they got the new monastery now,
Well, no,
but prior to that, they were
prior to
intense.
that, when they're having sex in the streets.
and they were hippies.
Oh, the hippie smell. Ugh. Hippie sex.
Dreadlocks galore.
Hippie sex smell.
Keep your car doors locked, folks.
So in '96, when they started renting this home, they were paying $7,000 a month in cash.
Wow,
Yeah, so it's
this is a full-on mansion.
well at 9,200 square foot, right? And it's got to have they got 100 people. So it says in the same month the group purchased. Oh, here, check this out. The group purchased alien abduction insurance that would cover up to 50 members. So the other 50 are screwed.
Pretty much.
But 50 members would cover. It'd pay out $1 million per person.
Okay.
Wait. The policy. This is what the policy covers: abduction, impregnation, or death by aliens.
I mean, they were really specific.
Yeah. So
Now, we've got to find this out. I have got to know what insurance company covered them.
I don't know, but that insurance company has got to be making a killing. They're
I'd
probably
be curious
still
to see
doing
what they paid for it, because obviously the the three payouts that you listed,
it's never going to happen.
it's never gonna happen.
You're never
They
going to
can
get paid out.
And then the death claim, there's no physical proof, so they're just screwed.
Right.
Unless they, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if they actually did pay them anything out during the suicides.
No way.
I would assume most insurance.
Yeah, I can't get my
A
insurance.
lot of
to pay
insurance
out.
will not pay. Well, just in general, like I know a lot of life insurance policies will not pay out on suicides.
Right, yeah.
It's very specific to the type of insurance that you
Yeah.
have. I'm sure,
But-
I would say I would be sure that they would be smart enough to know that. But they
Yeah.
believe in aliens
Yep.
abducting them. So
So, says March 19th to 20th, 1997, Marshall Applewhite taped himself in Doe's final exit, speaking of mass suicide and the only way to evacuate this Earth. After asserting that a spacecraft was trailing Comet Hale-Bopp and that this event would represent the closure to Heaven's Gate, Applewhite persuaded 38 followers to prepare for ritual suicide so their souls could board the supposed craft. Applewhite believed that after their deaths, an unidentified flying object would take their souls to another level of existence above human, which he described as being both physical and spiritual.
now I hate to keep pounding on this whole insurance situation. Who is going to get the payout if they're all dead?
Well, all right, so I would say nobody in this one, but they were doing it as insurance in case something happened before then, possibly.
So the additional 50 were supposed to get
It's
paid. Like,
weird
they had
because
to list a beneficiary. So was it like
because
their
they-
families or?
Yeah, and they expect that. They want to be with the aliens because they are the aliens, right? At least Doe and T, right? They think that they are. Well, no, they
No,
think
they claimed
all of
everybody
them are
was.
implanted.
They were just the main.
So why do they care? I don't know. Well, I don't know because maybe you don't want to get impregnated, right? So
By-
it doesn't matter.
Was the impregnation by aliens?
Would you want to be impregnated by a man?
It's physically impossible for me. These
Is
days,
it though?
These
Is
days,
it though?
I'm not even getting into that debate.
So-
That's not for me to touch on.
But,
But
maybe they just wanted to go and they didn't want to be impregnated. And death by aliens. I suppose there's bad people, right? There could be bad aliens. So,
true.
But in this case, I'm saying nobody got paid anything.
Oh no, they didn't give them a dime. They just took their money and smiled.
They say to kill themselves, members took phenobarbital mixed with applesauce or pudding and washed it down with vodka.
That sounds like a horrible food combination.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you just...
Put it on pizza?
That's not any better. You're one of those people who like pineapple on pizza.
I hate pineapple.
Oh, thank God.
So I do not like that on pizza.
It's
either.
disgusting. It's disgusting. Why, I don't understand their method. And didn't they bag themselves after the
Yeah,
fact?
yeah. It says, additionally, they secured plastic bags around their heads after ingesting the mix to induce asphyxiation.
I don't ever understand the ways that these people kill themselves. Like, okay, the Waco situation, it was literally Kool-Aid they were poisoning them with. Okay, so at least they're drinking something that, maybe they don't taste the poison. But, like, this seemed like it'd be a slow death. Like, you poison yourself, you get drunk, and then you suffocate yourself. Like, what, was that predetermined by the aliens? Is that how they needed to die?
I would assume that these were all safety measures.
Safety measures.
Right, to ensure that they die. So just in case, they didn't get the mix right, the poison isn't killing them, at least then they're going to suffocate.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah. Says all 39 were dressed in identical black shirts and sweatpants, brand new black and white Nike Decade athletic shoes, and armband patches reading Heaven's Gate Away Team.
And these were all adults, right?
Yeah, they're all...
There's no kids in this situation?
They're all
Okay.
adults. I think they're... Which could bring up another thing, but I believe they had to be at least 18 years old to be part of this religious movement.
Well, they would have been... They hadn't ascended, right? They hadn't had the second visit. I can't believe I'm doing this again. The implant.
Yeah, that could be right. That could be why the under 18s can't be there.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Sharon would have brought her kids with her.
Absolutely, yeah. Says each member had on their person a $5 bill and 3 quarters in their pocket.
What for?
According to former members, this was a standard for members leaving the home for jobs and a humorous way to tell us they all had left planet permanently.
Wait. Reread the part about leaving their jobs. What is it for?
What's that?
You said a standard way to tell the...
No. It was standard for members leaving their job. Like they got $5.
You quit your job. Here's $5.
Yeah, I guess I don't really know. I didn't write it. I'm just reading it.
What are the quarters for?
It says here it says the $5 bill was for covering the cost of vagrancy laws, and the quarters were for calling home from payphones.
So the aliens have payphones.
Yeah.
Or do they mean calling from the monastery?
No.
Because they put them on them when they died, right?
Yeah, when they died. So it's when they're going to, the next level.
I'm really disappointed with these aliens. I expect a little more. This explains why they couldn't fly down. Like, terrible spaceships. You don't even have anything better than payphones. That's embarrassing. As an alien, I'd be embarrassed.
You have to charge.
You're like, hey, guys, we're going to bring you up, but we really need you to bring some change,
yeah,
okay?
We're in need.
And only U.S. currency, okay?
Absolutely.
We don't take yen.
No.
We don't take pesos.
No, aliens are American.
I mean, they're from Texas, clearly. So
Yes. So, and they probably need the money that they're bringing in for their rocket fuel, right?
yeah, cover the taxes.
All right. So it says once a member was dead, a living member would arrange the body by removing the plastic bag from the person's head, followed by posing the body so that it lay neatly in its own bed, with faces and torsos covered by a square purple cloth for privacy. In an interview with Harry Robinson, the 2 surviving members said that the identical clothing was used as a uniform for mass suicide to represent unity, while the Nike Decades were chosen because the group got a good deal on the shoes.
Oh.
Yep. So that just goes part of their little uniform because
they're sponsored by Nike. That's kind of embarrassing.
Well, actually, yeah, they're not sponsored by Nike.
I mean, it kind of seems that way.
But check this out. It says Applewhite was also a fan of Nikes, and therefore everyone was expected to wear and like Nikes within the group. Heaven's Gate also had a saying within the group, just do it, right?
Yeah.
Except for he was dough.
Just do it.
Just do it.
That's cute. That's cute.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, they are sponsored.
That's right.
If I was Nike, I might have taken it down for at least 6 months.
Says the 39 adherents, 21 women and 18 men between the ages of 26 and 72 are believed to have died in 3 groups over 3 successive days, with remaining participants cleaning up after each prior group's death.
So there were survivors from this.
Yeah, and I'm not really...
What would be the reason? Because I thought they all were going to go to the spaceship.
I'm not positive.
They're supposed to loop back around?
It says there were 2 survivors, and I really don't know how. It says, though, that the suicides occurred in groups of 15, 15, and 9, right? So that's your 39. It says between approximately March 22nd and March 26th. Leader Applewhite was the third to the last member to die.
Of course he was.
Well, yeah, he wanted to make sure everyone else was doing it, right?
Right.
But then he had to leave 2 people after him to make sure that, they took the bag off his head, they covered him, with the purple cloth and all that,
It'd be
because
kinda
he's
hard to
the leader. He doesn't
yourself.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be the, he wants to look like he's supposed to, be the leader, right?
Well, if you don't believe in your own cause, it's
Right. Well, and he did. I mean, he did it. He just wasn't first. So
that's fair. At least he followed through.
says leader Applewhite was third to last, right? So they took care of him afterwards. And it says 2 people remained after him. They are the ones who took care of it, right? And they were the only ones who would be found with bags over their heads and not having purple cloth covering their top halves. Before the last of the suicides, similar sets of packages were sent to numerous Heaven's Gate affiliated or formerly affiliated individuals and at least one media outlet. Among those in the list of recipients was Rio D'Angelo. The package D'Angelo received on the evening of March 25th, as other packages sent had, contained 2 VHS videotapes. One with Doe's final exit, which is, look it up. It's more of, him talking, right? It's his banter on and on and on. The other was farewell messages from group followers, right? Right. So
that would have been a tough thing for the family members to see.
Right. Yep. And I don't know if they. I'm sure there's probably a lot of them that. My guess is, I'm not positive, but my guess is there's probably a lot of them that really didn't have much to do with their family anyway.
Probably, which is why they joined the
Right.
cult to begin with.
Yeah, they're not really missing out on anything.
Yeah.
So.
Now I know there are like pictures and some other media out there revolving around like the actual crime scenes.
Yeah,
that's what I
yeah.
call it, but-
Oh, yeah. You can see that. You can see that online. You can see pictures of what they, how they were set up. But basically, that's it. They're laying there on their own individual beds. They're black clothing with the purple cloth, covering them. So, says it also in the package that D'Angelo got also contained a letter stating that among other things, we have exited our vehicles, which is what they keep referring to their bodies as vehicles, right? Okay, we have exited our vehicles just as we entered them. D'Angelo informed his boss of the contents of the packages and then received a ride from him from Los Angeles to the Heaven's Gate home in Rancho Santa Fe so he could verify the letter. D'Angelo found a back door intentionally left unlocked to allow access and used a video camera to record what he found. After leaving the house, D'Angelo's boss, who had waited outside, encouraged him to make calls to authorities, alerting them to his discovery.
I can't imagine the smell.
Yeah.
40 bodies
right.
laying around.
Well, it says, all right, listen to this. It says San Diego County Sheriff's Department received an anonymous tip through 911 system at 3:15 p.m. on March 26th, suggesting they check on the welfare of the residents.
And which day did they die?
26th, I believe it was. It
was
was
all the same
somewhere.
day?
Well, they started earlier, right?
I thought this was like a 3-day.
Yeah, right. So it was just
So some of the
somewhere
bodies have been
somewhere
sitting there for 2
between
days.
March 22nd to March 26th.
Okay.
So some of them have been dead for a few days. Some of them maybe a day. So it says they went to check on the welfare of them. It says a single deputy first responded to the call, entered the home through a side door, saw 10 bodies, and was nearly overcome by the odor. The bodies were already decomposing in the hot California spring.
Apparently their monastery couldn't afford AC.
Yeah, no. Why would they keep it on?
That's a good point.
Why would they shut it off? Why would they care?
Why would they run the
I don't know.
monastery?
That's a good point. It says after a cursory search by 2 deputies found no one alive, both retreated until a search warrant could be procured. All 39 bodies were ultimately cremated. News of the 39 deaths in Rancho Santa Fe motivated the copycat suicide of a 58-year-old man living near Marysville, California. Yeah, so this dude, he basically did the same thing, right? He left a note said he's going on a spaceship with Hale-Bopp to be with those who have gone before me.
How many days was this? Right, at the same
It was
time?
March 27th.
So day after they
Yeah,
went.
right.
So he was just trying to hop on the tail end of the.
Yep. Yeah, well, he didn't want Heaven's Gate to close.
Oh, makes sense.
So it said he also imitated some of the details of Heaven Gate suicide as they've been reported in the media up to that point. The man was found dead by a friend on March 31st and had no known connection with Heaven's Gate. At least 3 former members of Heaven's Gate ultimately died by suicide themselves in the months after the mass suicide event. On May 6th of that year, Wayne Cook and Chuck Humphrey attempted suicide in a hotel in a manner similar to that used by the group. Cook died and Humphrey survived the attempt. Another former member, James Perky Jr., died by suicide by a self-inflicted gunshot wound on May 11th. Humphrey, who had survived the first suicide attempt, he ultimately killed himself in Arizona in February of '98.
Man, that's some dedication.
Yeah, I mean, he's not playing around. I mean,
He must have been laid up for a while, or
my guess is he tried to kill himself. They, discovered it. My guess is he probably went to a mental institute,
probably
served some time there. Once he got out, he immediately is trying again.
I mean, 6 months after the fact,
Speculation.
the comet would have been gone. You think he just like gets teleported to space and realizes that they're not
So their ideas changed a little bit, though.
there? Okay.
Okay, so I'll get to that in just a second. Last thing on this, we talked about their website, right? Still being
Tela?
operational. Tela, right? Okay, it says the
TELHA or AH.
TELAH. It says 2 former members, Mark and Sarah King of Phoenix, Arizona, operating as the Tela Foundation, are believed to maintain the group's website. Man, I wish I could tell you what that stands for. It's the elevation something. I can't remember what it stands for. Something weird like that. Here's their belief system. Okay. Says initially the group had been told that they would be biologically and chemically transformed into extraterrestrial beings and would be transported with their bodies aboard a spacecraft that would come to Earth and take the crew to heaven, referred to as the next level, right? When Bonnie Nettles, or T, died of cancer in '85, it confounded the group's doctrine because Nettles was allegedly chosen by the next level to be a messenger on Earth, right? She's God. Remember? She's
right.
God the Father. So her body stayed. So then, it didn't leave for outer space like they expected. So now they had to kind of change their belief system a little bit. And they did. So they then revised it to including the leaving of the conscious body, as equivalent to leaving the Earth in a spacecraft.
Right.
Okay. So they left the consciousness of the body. Now it's just basically their spirit going. Group declared that they were against suicide as
But that was the only mode of transportation.
as they define suicide in their own context to mean to turn against the next level when it is being offered. So basically, if you don't commit suicide, you're committing suicide. Right? They're saying
sense.
if you don't do what we say, basically, you turn against us, then you're committing suicide.
Okay, so this wasn't reported in Wikipedia, but after doing some research, it states that the biggest hitch in the narrative of the suicide cult was that all members did not die after ingesting barbiturate-filled applesauce and pudding and then bagging themselves. So not all of them actually died from this.
Well, right. There was a couple survivors.
Right. Well, they're survivors, but not survivors as in like they didn't try. They just didn't die.
Maybe they're real Texas Jesus.
Maybe they didn't have the
And-
implants. They weren't ready to ascend.
Yeah, could be.
That's got to be right. So that's they had to
I don't
change the story.
think. I don't buy that.
Just saying, that's what it says.
I don't think that's a whole. I say it's you survived. Try again. That's what I say.
Well, I mean, the one guy did
Yes.
twice.
Yes. Okay, so let's see what else. It says they believe that to be eligible for membership in the next level, humans would have to shed every attachment to the planet, which they pretty much did, right? This meant all members had to give up all human-like characteristics such as family, friends, gender, sexuality, individuality, jobs, money, and possessions. Oh, here it is. Tila, the evolutionary level above human, right? Okay, it says that was a physical, corporal place, another world in our universe where residents live in pure bliss and nourish themselves by absorbing pure sunlight. At the next level, beings do not engage in sexual intercourse. Of course they don't. No eating or dying.
How do they reproduce?
Well, they don't have to reproduce.
They're immortal? So they don't
Yeah,
ever
that's
have to-
their heaven. They're in heaven, right?
Makes sense.
So, it says Heaven's Gate believed that what the Bible calls God is actually a highly developed extraterrestrial. Of course it is. Members of Heaven's Gate believe that Members of Heaven's Gate believe that evil space aliens called Luciferians falsely represented themselves to Earthlings as God and conspired to keep humans from developing.
So demons are Luciferians? Is that what they're
Yeah,
trying
basically,
to?
yeah. They're
So the
like
devil.
they're false god. That yeah. Says technically advanced humanoids. These aliens have spacecraft, space-time travel, telepathy, and increased longevity. They use holograms to fake miracles. Carnal beings with gender, they stopped training to achieve the kingdom of God thousands of years ago. Heaven's Gate believed that all existing religions on Earth had been corrupted by these aliens. Although these basic beliefs of the group stayed generally consistent over the years, the details of their ideology were flexible enough to undergo modification over time. There are examples of the group adding to or slightly changing their beliefs, such as modifying the one way one can enter the next level, right? At first you had to be on that spaceship following Hale-Bopp.
Well, you wouldn't be able to continue the group after that point.
Right.
Because if that was the only way to get there,
I know.
then
But
the group's done.
They modified it beforehand. So it says they did that. They changed the way they described themselves. They placed more importance on the idea of Satan and added several other New Age concepts. One of these concepts was the belief of extraterrestrial walk-ins. When the group began, Applewhite Nettles taught their followers that they were extraterrestrial beings. However, after the notion of walk-ins became popular within the New Age subculture, the two changed their tune and began describing themselves as extraterrestrial walk-ins. The idea of a walk-in is similar to the concept of being possessed by spirits.
Okay.
Okay, a walk-in is defined basically it's...
So this is how he's explaining the implant thing.
Yeah. It's an entity who occupies the body of somebody that's already been vacated by their
Right.
spirit, basically. So it's okay.
Okay.
So Heaven's Gate came to believe an extraterrestrial walk-in is a walk-in that is supposedly from another planet. The concept of walk-ins aided Applewhite Nettles in personally starting from what they considered to be clean slates. And the so-called it's like when you're saying you're born again, right? Or born again Christian. That's the same thing that they're doing here. They're saying that basically the second time that they were implanted by these.
They were born again at that point.
Right. Okay. So they're no longer considered by members of Heaven's Gate to be the people they had been prior to the start of the group, but now they've taken on new life.
Okay.
Concept gave them a way to erase their human personal histories as the histories of the souls who formerly occupied the bodies that of Applewhite Nettles. It says over time, Applewhite also revised his identity in the group to encourage the belief that the walk-in that was inhibiting his body was the same that had done so to Jesus, right? We talked about that.
Yep.
Another New Age belief Applewhite Nettles adopted was the ancient astronaut hypothesis. This term, ancient astronauts, is used to refer to various forms of the concept that extraterrestrials visited the Earth in distance past. Whatever. All right, so they did a bunch of this stuff. So here's their techniques to enter the next level. Okay, there's 4 methods. Then was just one. Now there's 4, but there's 4 methods that you can enter or graduate to the next level. Okay. physical pickup on the Tila spacecraft and transfer to a next-level body aboard the craft. In this version, an alien spacecraft would descend to Earth. So it does descend to
Yeah,
Earth.
see?
I mean,
I thought they were getting, like,
no, I don't
beamed
know.
up.
I don't know that it said they were getting beamed up. But I would think that if it's following Hale-Bopp, it doesn't want to lose its place. Maybe it's super quick. Maybe it's just like that, and it's down to Earth, picks you up.
So
and
why
it's
wouldn't they
back.
just pick up their physical bodies then?
Well, they can't do that. They got to change that. They had to change that because Nettles died.
Oh, so this is after the fact.
Yes.
So they're gonna come
they get
back
a new
now.
body. No, they get a new body.
Oh, so you don't have to commit suicide now.
Nope.
Sounds like a way better deal than the first group
Well,
got.
no. Yeah, well, you don't have to commit suicide. Okay, here, let's finish this. You can commit suicide, but you're not committing suicide in their eyes.
Right.
Okay. So
Okay, you don't have to not commit suicide,
Yeah,
but you have to commit suicide. Okay, good
the
to know.
spacecraft comes down, picks them up, and then they're transformed through biological and chemical process to perfected beings. Okay. The other option is natural death, accidental death, or death from random violence. Here, the
Random violence?
you get killed, right? They were afraid of the government, right?
Okay.
They're afraid of that sort of thing.
So, like, if they
a
break
Waco
in, bust
type
in.
situation,
Okay.
Ruby Ridge,
Burn the
something
building
like that.
down.
Okay, yep. So if they take them out, they're saying, hey, they can still go, right? Here, the graduating soul leaves the human container for a perfected next level body. Outside persecution that leads to death. Okay, that's another way. After the deaths of the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas, and the events involving Randy. See, that's exactly what I'm saying.
So
Randy,
this was this after or before Waco?
Waco was before. Waco was 93, 94, if I remember correctly. And I believe Ruby Ridge, which maybe we'll do an episode on Ruby Ridge.
Yeah,
I think
I
Ruby
remember
Ridge was like 90. No, you know what? I want to say it was 96, but now I feel like it was 94.
I remember the details of Waco, but I do not remember much about Ruby Ridge for some reason. I feel like Waco was way more publicized.
It was, but
The standoff probably had a big part of that.
we'll do an episode on Ruby Ridge.
Okay.
Yeah. So it says that's, they were afraid of government coming and murdering, so that's one way to get there.
Yeah.
And then there is the willful exit from the body in a dignified manner. Near the end, Applewhite had a revelation that they might have to abandon their human bodies and achieve the next level as Jesus had done. And that's what they did on
Right.
March 22nd, 23rd, when they, 39 members died by suicide and graduated. So there's that. It says basically the group was open to adults over the age of 18. Obviously, like we talked about, you had to give up all your possessions your whole life. They always carried a $5 bill and a roll of quarters.
Oh.
Here's this. 8 of the male members of the group, including Applewhite, voluntarily underwent castration as an extreme means of maintaining the lifestyle. The group initially attempted castration by having one of the members, a former nurse, perform the castration, but this initial attempt was very unsuccessful, almost resulted in the patient's death.
I was gonna say I don't think she's qualified.
No, and that caused,
I know offense to nurses, but that's it's kind of a specialized surgery.
that caused at least that patient almost dying caused at least one of the members to leave. Right?
I'm pretty sure just talking about castration in general, I'd be out the door.
Well, I think talking about
Aliens.
Texas Jesus would get me out the door too, but who knows?
I mean that'd be a deal killer for me.
It says
Like,
every
hey, you can come hang out with us and get on the spaceship, but
You-
first we have to agree that castration's a must. Okay?
castration's not a must. Don't listen to this guy. You can join.
Can I wear just
You don't
tight
have
underwear,
to
guys?
be castrated.
I'll
You
take-
just have to abstain from sexual
I can
activity.
tape it down. I mean,
No.
anything other than castration.
It says every castration that followed the initial one was done in the hospital.
What did they do to the women? The men were castrated.
No, they didn't do anything as far as I know, and they weren't required to do that. It wasn't a rule that they had to do it. They just did it as a show that says that we're so serious about this, like we are not going to procreate.
Can't you
right?
cut off a pinky or something? I mean,
No, it doesn't do the same thing.
No. All right.
So anyway, so that's Heaven's Gate. Remember, you can visit our website at wikibros.com to get links to more of the information regarding this topic, regarding the other topics that we'll be talking about in the future. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. Follow us on your favorite social media outlets like TikTok and Instagram. Leave us a rating, tell a friend. Remember, Wikipedia runs on donations. So would you consider giving them a couple of bucks? Join us next time where we dive into the murderer and grave robber Ed Gein. For Wiki Bros, I'm Justin,
This is Kyle.
and we'll see you next time.